Welcome to Keeping Score. I'm Rick Horrow. Each week we bring you insights from the playmakers, deal makers, and rule makers in the world of sports. I'll give you my take on some of the items of the week using my 30 years of experience doing deals for teams, leagues, and players in the $750 billion business of sports. Plus, we'll talk with a central figure in the sports world. The views expressed in this podcast are my own and do not represent the views of Reuters. Let's get started. You can hear that Olympic music, tired of it after 17 days, but we're not yet. Pyeongchang, the smallest town to hold an Olympics since Lillehammer, Norway in 1994, but with the worldwide coverage, you don't think of how small the town is. It is an incredible immersion for these 2 weeks. Dan Colarusso, the chief global poobah of Reuters. What better person to help us analyze it? How are you?
I've been staying up late, I'll admit, to watching these Olympics. I was not excited about these Olympic Games coming through, not any more excited than normal about them, but Chloe Kim, Michaela Schifrin, the North Korea, South Korea women's hockey team. I mean, it has turned into a very watchable event despite NBC's gaffes and a few other things. It's really kind of an engaging game. I think a lot more engaging than people expected.
Yeah, and I think the people that come out of, and we'll do this next week and the week after, the fleeting Halley's Comet superstars that come out of the Olympics and are America's heroes for like 2 months. Chloe Kim is there. Michaela Schifrin probably will be there. The slope boarders were there for the first week. And the hockey players, if they go anywhere, these kids and the cast-offs, that's a great story. And from my perspective, the fact that these Olympics have not gone into boardroom and business oblivion, as we said, this is a small town. And 80,000 foreign tourists, 40,000 total hotel rooms, makes for some mayhem. Yet, they sold about 1 million tickets, which was originally only about 61% of the allotment at the beginning of the games. They've caught up. But amazing how you can make empty seats on television dress up and look like skaters and losers, you know?
Indeed. I mean, it's tough. You see some of the crowds are sparse. But by and large, as a vehicle, I think once, the military tensions and geopolitical strife and the fact that it's a winter games in a small town, it feels like a lot. But if beyond that, this Olympics is going to serve its purpose, and it's not going to be detrimental to the Olympic cause, which, quite frankly, has been under severe social and economic pressure for the past at least 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, you go to Athens lately, you see what you mean. London was fine because it didn't change the way they lived or built facilities. Rio, miserable promises under-delivered. And, of course, Sochi, you never know where the dollars went. This will go down, if the second week is like the first, as the Olympics that could. $13 billion, a quarter of the cost of Sochi, and there are the typical problems with the media of not getting from Seoul to Pyeongchang or the remote mountains. But that happens in every Winter Olympics. Bulletin to us. We don't have 13,000-foot mountains in the center of a town near an airport. So, suck it up and enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm with you. On that one.
And the other thing, by the way, about all of this is as you said, I think it is the most important issue, to watch the North Korean pairs figure skaters doing well. I don't think it mattered to me whether they did well or not, but the way they were received by the South Korean crowd, it's astronomical politically, and everybody is trying to focus on the games. Well, here's the one time where forget the games, focus on the politics here. It's tremendous.
Right? Isn't it amazing that you talk about it a lot more aggressively than I do. You really do believe in like the sports power to fix things and address society's ills. I tend to think it's a particle accelerator for the worst qualities in human beings. But that said, I do feel like the Olympics have that special purpose, and that's what is coming out as a real positive from these games.
Well, and frankly, if you focus on some parts of this world, given what's just happened here in my city, my area, Parkland, and others, that's not what this show is all about. But you focus on the worst part of human behavior, and then you segue into Scott Hamilton, our interview today. If those people who are over 40 who listen don't know who Scott Hamilton is, they should be institutionalized. But he won gold medals in various Olympics, 4 consecutive U.S. championships. The '84 Olympics was his. The 1990 U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame, But he lost his mom to breast cancer. He battled testicular cancer. He was diagnosed with brain cancer, and he's a world-class philanthropist. Now what he's doing is trying to quarterback the merging of young hockey players learning and young ice skaters learning on behalf of the Nashville Predators and the NHL to try to do a Learn to Skate program. Scott Hamilton, an amazing human being. Here's his interview now. So off to the Olympics. Excited about Korea?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's there's the events are going to be beautifully skated. Competition is going to be really interesting. All 4 disciplines are going to be competed well. I'm excited. The ladies competition, Medvedeva has looked unbeatable. Zagitova is I think my favorite.
Yeah.
But she tends to make mistakes where Medvedeva doesn't. So then the third place Russian girl is really super strong. Probably should medal, but weak on spins. And there's a little bit of an Achilles heel. The 2 of the 3 Russians have sort of an Achilles heel, a little bit. But it'd be really exciting to see where America fits in with this new young team. On the ladies' side, on
medalist?
The men's side.
Okay.
Ooh, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. That's why they skate, right? That's why we hold the event.
Yeah. And
you never know how
side?
it's going to go. Men's side, Nathan Chen looks like he could medal. He's up against these powerhouses that have proven themselves second Olympic cycle. So it'll be really interesting to see where he fits in when you put them all on the same ice and the same warm-up and the same, apples to apples scoring system on the night. It'll be really interesting. But I think he's got a shot. I mean, outside shot for gold, but I would expect him to medal.
You're in the dynamics. We'll talk about all your philanthropic, charitable, Learn to Skate, Predators, all of that world, and it's a substantial world. But NBC also asks you to be current on Olympic stars. It just means a lot more work for you, right? But you are current, but you're also doing other things.
Well, I love skating. I love skating, and I love to watch it. I love to follow it. I love to, I don't feel 100% comfortable prognosticating as far as each event and how it all works.
That doesn't stop lesser intellects in other sports, by the way. Just so as we know.
I know we all have an opinion, right? But it's like, I love to watch it. I love to promote it. I love everything about skating. It's given me the life that I have today, and I kind of get it, from a really specific point of view. And again, it's just a phenomenal sport, an industry that needs a lot of help right now. But it's a great sport, very popular. It's the anchor sport of the Olympics, and it's always fun to go and witness history.
Well, let's talk about that anchor sport of the Olympics and the business. Judging, athleticism, recruiting, commercialization, media, a lot of things to talk about. How is the business of skating at 30,000 feet?
It's getting better. I think it's hit its lowest point, and I think it's on its way back up again. If you look back to the World Championships that were held in Boston, Massachusetts, it was to the rafters. And it was like the good old days. They always talk about the good old days where every single nationals we set another attendance record. And this one was, Boston knows how to do skating. They just get it. They did a great nationals. They did a great world championships. They just did our biggest Skate to Eliminate Cancer fundraiser we've ever had by more like quadruple almost. So Boston is kind of a breath of fresh air for skating. And I think that when you look at what's happening in LA, what's happening in Colorado, what's happening in Boston as far as coaching and as far as excellence, what you see happening a little bit in Chicago and Florida. We've got some phenomenal training centers that are going to start pumping out good skaters, and hopefully we'll have one of those right here in Nashville sooner than later.
Before we get into philanthropy, it's been over 2 years since your diagnosis for the 3rd brain tumor. How are you feeling? How are things going?
It's I stay vigilant. I tell everybody else, to stay vigilant, know what's going on with your body, understand, when something says something to you, act on it right away. And with this one, I've just sort of felt compelled to keep an eye on it and clean up my diet, clean up my exercise routine, clean up my life so that, I'm stronger to kind of battle it however I have to. And, so far, miraculous things. God gets all the glory on this one. Miraculous things are happening where, craniopharyngioma, the nature of the brain tumor is it just grows into things and creates all kinds of mischief. This one's shrunk the last 2 scans and no one can explain it. So again, my faith tells me that the Lord is sparing me for another day, whatever that is, and I'm going to try to be obedient.
Let's talk about some of the various philanthropic things that you do. The Scott Hamilton Cares Foundation, talk a bit about that, where it is, where it's going.
Yeah, well, we started off, it was I survived cancer. And when I went through it, I lost my mom to cancer 40 years ago, and 20 years ago I survived. And it was in that journey that I realized how much was missing in the cancer community, how much research needed to be done, obviously, but it was about, patient support, patient education. I went online to figure out what was going on with testicular cancer, and there were, like, you're a Harvard guy, right?
Yeah. Play one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
So there's 12-syllable words, sometimes 3 to a sentence.
That everybody's intimidated by, right?
Well, intimidated. Yeah. I thought either I'm really sick or I'm really stupid. Yeah. And I know that I negotiated my high school diploma, so I chose stupid. Yeah. But I realized there's a lot of people like me out there that can't read medical journal papers about their disease. So we created chemocare.com. CARE started off as a initiative at the Taussig Cancer Center at the Cleveland Clinic. And a few years ago, we decided to just start brand new, take the brand and build a dedicated foundation, thinking that we could really go broader, bigger, huger. It's hard. Foundation work is really hard, but every year we've been able to grow. Every year we've been able to pay our bills. Every year we've been able to make a contribution. This year is the biggest one we've made. So every year we're growing and we're building our base and we're setting a solid foundation. And we're really trying to fund the future of cancer treatment options.
But you also evolve specific programs that allow different kinds of people to participate, like Skate to Eliminate. What's that all about?
Skate to Eliminate Cancer is the brainchild of Nadia Kogler, who is a rink manager in Knoxville, Tennessee. Wow. And when we launched CARES, we were based out of Knoxville. And she said, do you mind if I do this thing? And they said, sure, that sounds like fun. And so she put together this peer-to-peer fundraising program, like a 5K or a marathon or a bike race, on ice. And she invited all their skaters to sign up and raise money through their email accounts and family and friends. And she raised in one afternoon $8,000. So it's like, okay, you're going on staff, and we're going to build this program. And so from that very first Skate to Eliminate in Knoxville, that was sort of almost like a flash fundraiser, Boston just did over $160,000 in an evening event. And it was spectacular to visit Boston Children's, where I was a patient, to visit Mass General and to see the work they're doing in cancer, and to benefit Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, which is like, my goodness, the granddaddy of them all, and to really start getting involved with these different cancer centers, holding fundraisers in their towns that benefit them directly, and to take this model nationwide with the help of U.S. Figure Skating has been an amazing growth opportunity, and it's really given us our really foundation of our income.
You're one of the first celebrities to make a commitment to the Make-A-Wish Foundation as early as '97, and a lot of it was because of your own personal health issues, but a lot of it, I assume, is because you saw how much of a difference you could make in international philanthropy over the past 20 years.
Well, I learned a lot from Make-A-Wish. When we started Stars on Ice, our very first corporate sponsor was Discover Card. Yeah. They were brand new, and we were brand new, so we were kind of like trying to figure this thing out together. And I did a lot of really cool things with Discover Card. Part of it was they just decided from the get-go Make-A-Wish Foundation was going to be their charity, and so everything we did media-wise involved Make-A-Wish Kids, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we really created a lot of awareness and really raised a lot of money in our touring years, because, we were killing it back then with, ticket sales and people getting involved. So Make-A-Wish Foundation was a great thing for us. And in any tour, if a tour doesn't have a philanthropic identity, they're more than likely going to fail, because it's not just about them. It's about how they impact the community, how they impact their fan base, and how they really touch people that really need to be touched, moved, given memories, given opportunities. And so for us with Make-A-Wish, it was an amazing relationship that lasted a very long time, and I'm grateful for that every day.
Struggles in earlier life, illnesses, setback, teach you to be stronger, one of the central messages of the book, but you tell us what the central message of the book is. This is critical. Everybody that's watching, you better get one of these.
Well, Finish First came out of a lot of conversations with different people about how people just don't. They always have that desire, like, I'd love to win something. Wouldn't it be? I'd love to get recognition. I'd love to have a victory. I'd love to have if you want to honor somebody, anywhere in Africa, just give them a certificate. They're thrilled, right? Yeah. But it's like, or anywhere actually. Yeah. But when I think about, growing up as a kid, wanting to feel special, it was always about winning something. It was always about, what can I do to make my life special and meaningful, and to really feel that glow of having really a victory in my life. And I had a lot of setbacks. I had a lot of knockdowns. I had a lot of things, and through a lot of failure, through a lot of other components that would normally defeat somebody, I found a way to get stronger. And I figured out a way to go from being the guy that came in last a lot. I won some, but I was last in the important competitions. I needed to figure out a way to win, and I needed to figure out a way to really drive myself to take advantage of opportunity in order to be successful. And so it just sort of ended up in a book, and it's called Finish First, and it's basically a call to action for anybody that wants to change their lives for the better. It's an argument for and a guide to being the best you can be. And it's about creating a platform of a lot of small victories to have that big victory right there in front of you. And it's in many ways, it's counterculture, because we live in a participation trophy society. We live in an instant gratification society where if you need something, all you have to do is pick up your phone. Yeah. And so it's a lot of the drive that would normally live in us to really do something special is taken away from us through, through social media, through electronics, through all these other things, through the participation trophy, through recognition, through saving our children from the sting of failure. It's like failure, if you look at the recipe or a pie chart for success, failure is the largest single ingredient. In writing this, I figured out that from my first steps on the ice all the way to my last year as a professional, I fell down 41,600 times.
Got up every time.
Got up 41,600 times. And in that, I learned how to survive cancer. I learned how to survive all kinds of setbacks and issues in my life. And so the idea of Finish First is really just a book about how to take ownership of where you are, how to take an accounting of what your qualities are, what your talents are, to really identify your purpose, and then doing everything you can to answer that purpose. And my goodness, it can be anything from being, graduating college, to being a CEO of a company, to winning a competition, to being the best parent you can be, to, it has so many applications in athletics, academia, business, parenting, personal excellence, that I really truly believe that the second part of the title, Winning Changes Everything, is really apropos, because once you feel that victory, once you understand victory, then you crave it, and you understand that there's a process in order to get there, and there's a process that prevents you from getting there.
You also write, the number one predictor of whether you'll be a winner is if you decide to be one. What do you mean?
It's a personal choice. I mean, there's lots of things that go into it. It's showing up every day. It's outworking other people. It's making easy choices. It's it's being accountable. It's being committed. It's keeping your eye on the prize. There's this path to victory, and here it is. Here's your lane. And all the stuff out here is going to try to pull you out of your lane and try to knock you off your path. But if you're able to stay in your lane and stay with the program, you're probably going to be okay. And that means, like, if I have a class or a session at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, and some buddies go, hey, do you want to go to the midnight movie tonight? It's going to be really fun. It's a brand new, great movie. It's nobody's ever seen it before. We'll be the first ones to see it. It's like, do I make that choice? Or do I say, you know what, I'm going to see it as soon as the box office starts chilling a little bit? I'm going to make a decision to be rested for my class or my session, and then I get more out of it. And then you get consistent with those decisions, and my goodness, it changes everything.
5 years from now, where are you?
5 years from now, I want to have an Olympic level skating program where we're building these skaters toward the Olympics. I want to have at least advanced, 3 or 4 or 5 proven treatments, in immunotherapy and targeted therapies to help people live their lives more legitimate and longer without the sting of chemotherapy. I'd love to have CARES have offices all over the country where we're able to help people one-on-one with their challenges and their issues, possibly in proton centers around the country, which is a really precise form of radcare.org. A really precise form of radiation that doesn't expose you to the secondary cancers and all the other toxicities of traditional radiation. There's a million things I'd like to be doing in 5 years. I know that in 5 years, 2 of my 4 kids will have launched, so I'll be, kind of
Half empty nest.
Yeah, that'll
Quarter.
be. I'll be. My heart will be a little bit broken, but at the same time,
They come back.
I just want to be healthy and active in 5 years. That's the first thing, and that's up to me to stay in my lane and work out every day. But the biggest part is to see the Skating Academy grow into what I know it can be, and for CARES to become, a big dog in the cancer community, and grow our programs, grow our understanding and influence in the cancer research space, and to make an impact, for those that are fighting for their lives.
Oh, is that all?
That's it.
I love you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.